In a sea of generic games filled with empty promises, some older titles continue to stand the test of time when it comes to visuals. In an era where every new release promises realistic graphics and cutting-edge effects, certain classics continue to shine, leaving many of today's games behind. Combining aesthetics, atmosphere, and an impressive level of detail, these masterpieces show us that when art and technique meet, the result can survive generations. So, get ready for a trip back in time through these gaming gems that impressed and continue to impress. I'm Jax, and if you're new here, welcome to the Play Hunters channel. I bring daily content so you don't miss any details from the gaming universe. And if you could subscribe to help me grow, I'd be really happy. From one gamer to another. Opening the list, we have Batman: Arkham Knight, a classic that, even years after its release, still impresses with its top-tier graphics. Gotham in this game is more than just a setting. It's a character in its own right, with dark streets and detailed alleys that capture the essence of Batman's world. The atmosphere is immersive, and the effects of rain, lights reflected in the wet streets, and architectural details make every corner of the city a visual masterpiece. Even today, it's hard not to marvel at the meticulously crafted aesthetics of this game. The gameplay is another strong point, with fluid movements and combat that unfolds like an intense choreography. The player feels the weight of each strike and the precision of every dodge. Exploring Gotham is almost addictive because there's always something new to see, whether it's the texture on the walls of alleys or the light and shadow effects that make each area unique. All of this makes you feel like you're truly in the shoes of the Dark Knight, observing and protecting the city. Even with today's technology, few games can offer the same visual impact and immersion as Arkham Knight. It stands as a reference work, showing that the beauty of graphics isn't just in resolution, but in the creation of an aesthetic that leaves a lasting impression. Replaying it is a reminder of what makes the best games so special: the ability to transport us to another world, as if we were truly there. Next, we have The Witcher 3, which marked a generation and still stands out for its incredibly detailed visuals and vibrant atmosphere. Each setting, from rustic villages to dense and mysterious forests, feels crafted with an attention to the smallest details. The landscapes, especially, are breathtaking, and as players ride across vast plains or cross mountains, they feel immersed in a medieval world that feels real. It's a true masterpiece that proves how exceptional graphics can blend with a lively and pulsing environment. But it's not just the beauty of the world that makes the game so captivating. Interacting with characters, the depth of the dialogues, and the complex decisions the player has to make create an engaging plot where every choice matters. The battles are intense, with combat full of nuances that challenge players to think strategically. Every strike, dodge, and use of magic brings a dynamic that requires skill and intelligence, making every fight a true test of endurance and precision. The striking visuals and rich story of The Witcher 3 still leave many modern games behind, showing that a great game goes far beyond next-gen graphics. It's an adventure that invites the player to explore every corner of a fascinating universe, where even the smallest details matter. In third place, Assassin's Creed Unity came to the market with high expectations, but its launch was tumultuous, marked by several technical issues that ended up grabbing the spotlight. Despite this rocky start, the recreation of revolutionary Paris is an impressive feat that still stands as one of the most beautiful and detailed cities ever seen in video games. Walking through the streets of the French capital is like walking through a living work of art, with Gothic churches, palaces, and bustling neighborhoods that make anyone lose themselves in the details of the 18th century. The fluid movement between buildings, enabled by the parkour system, takes on another level with a city so rich and complex. Exploring each rooftop, climbing cathedrals, and leaping through narrow alleys turns navigation into a unique visual and physical experience. The combat, in turn, requires reflexes and precision, with each confrontation offering a sense of challenge, while seamlessly fitting into the vibrant atmosphere of Parisian streets. The action becomes even more immersive within this historical setting. Even with its initial issues, Unity redeemed itself and secured its place as one of the most visually remarkable games in the series. The dedication to recreating Paris and the level of detail make it a landmark in terms of setting, turning every walk through the city into a journey through time, a true visual spectacle for fans of open-world games. In fourth place, The Order 1886 is a game that impresses with its visual quality and immersion in an alternate Victorian London. The city is portrayed with minute details, dark streets, ancient buildings, and the contrast between classic style and futuristic technology are elements that make every scene feel almost real. The lighting and textures create a dense, atmospheric mood, transporting players into the heart of this imagined London, where everything is built with maximum realism. The action is direct, marked by unique weapons and tactics, combining intense combat with a touch of science fiction that fits perfectly into the historical setting. Every shot and movement of the character brings a sense of weight and precision, making the confrontations feel more dramatic, as if each moment were a movie scene. This integration of gameplay and aesthetics creates a unique atmosphere, where every detail seems to be carefully designed to enhance the narrative. Despite its shorter campaign, the game is remembered as a true visual masterpiece. It brought something new to the games of its time, creating gameplay that impresses with its graphical quality and the care in creating an original and fascinating universe. In fifth place, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most recent game on this list, but since its release, no other open-world game has reached the same level of depth and realism. This game transports players to an incredibly detailed Old West America, with vast and stunning landscapes that seem to come alive. Every detail, from the golden deserts at sunset to the snow-covered mountains, displays striking graphical quality. The natural light, reflections in the water, and local fauna create an atmosphere that few games have been able to match. The story is deep and accompanied by choices that bring real consequences, making each journey across the map unique. Exploring the world is an experience in itself. The towns have their own life, with characters that react authentically to the player's actions. The confrontations are intense, with classic period weapons and a combat system that reinforces the Wild West mood, where every shootout feels true to the historical period. With the richness and level of detail it brought to the genre, this game set a new standard for open-world games. Its impact was so great that, to this day, few games have been able to achieve the same depth and quality, making it an unbeatable reference for anyone who enjoys an epic and immersive journey. In sixth place, Ryse, Son of Rome is a game that impressed with its graphical quality and the majestic recreation of the Roman Empire. Every scene feels meticulously crafted, with epic environments that capture the grandeur and brutality of Roman battles. From the battlefields to temples and arenas, the game transports players to a Rome filled with breathtaking details and lighting that rivals cinematic productions. The combat system is another highlight, with an intense dynamic that brings the weight and brutality of the era's battles. The movements are fluid and visceral, with each strike and block executed in sync, turning every fight into a precise and impactful choreography. The gameplay values the skill required to chain attacks and counterattacks, creating a visually stunning and realistic sequence that enriches the environment. Beyond being a lesson in aesthetics and realism, the game stands out as a striking visual experience that still serves as a reference for graphical quality. The recreation of Roman landscapes and the detailing of battles continue to impress, taking immersion to a new level with its grand visuals and memorable scenes. In seventh place, God of War 3 marked a generation by elevating graphics and action to unprecedented levels. The game introduced a grand, mythical world, where each environment is a visual showcase of power. From the peaks of Mount Olympus to rivers of lava and monumental temples, everything exudes an epic scale. The precision in details and the imposing scenery transform the journey into a true visual spectacle, placing the player in the midst of a war between gods and monsters. The intense gameplay stands out with brutal strikes, fluid combat, and a series of movements that make each battlefield unique. Facing mythological creatures is challenging and visceral, and executing strikes makes the confrontations even more impactful. The combination of attacks and abilities allows for a variety of combos, making the player feel the power of each move, creating unforgettable moments of pure and uninterrupted action. With its immersive aesthetics and breathtaking combat, the game became one of the most impressive of its time. The grandeur of the environments and the intensity of the battles capture the essence of Greek mythology in an engaging way, establishing this work as a visual and gameplay reference for action game fans. In 8th place, God of War. Ascension was released just 3 years after the third game in the series, but it brought impressive graphical improvements, especially for the PlayStation 3 generation. With a leap in textures, lighting effects, and a higher level of detail, the game recreates a mythical universe that feels alive and tangible. The landscapes are vast and full of nuances, with environments ranging from ancient ruins to monumental temples, all recreated with visual attention that enriches the setting and adds depth to each new area. In addition to the visual improvements, the combat was refined to include new combinations and even more impactful moves. The fluidity of strikes and precision in each attack sequence enhances the brutality and visceral style characteristic of the saga. Battles against giant creatures and the visual effects during fights make the confrontations intense and memorable, with every movement perfectly aligned with the character's power. Ascension raised the graphical standard of the series and expanded the possibilities for combat. The enhanced visuals and deep narrative offer a fresh perspective on the story, maintaining the franchise's essence, but with a shine and refinement that cemented this game as one of the most memorable experiences of its time. In 9th place, Fight Night Champion brought a surprising level of realism to the boxing world, elevating the sports genre with impressive graphics and physics that capture every detail of the fights. Facial expressions, sweat, and even bruises on the fighters reflect the impact of each punch, giving a rare sense of authenticity. The attention to detail makes every round intense, with a visual style that still stands out as a reference for sports games. The combat system is precise and requires strategy, with movements that must be carefully calculated to defeat the opponent. The gameplay provides quick responses and allows fluid sequences of attacks and defenses, valuing both technique and reaction time. Each punch feels heavy, contributing to a faithful and immersive representation of professional boxing, where the intensity and realism of the fight stand out. Released at a time when sports games sought ever more fidelity, this game stood out for its graphical immersion and depth in simulating boxing. With visuals that reproduce every detail of the fighters and arenas, it is still remembered as one of the best ever made in the genre, solidifying its importance in the history of sports games. In 10th place, The Last of Us is a game that redefined the concept of emotional narrative and graphical quality in the action and survival genre. Set in a post-apocalyptic, devastated world, the visual design impresses with its rich details, from crumbling buildings to the vegetation overtaking abandoned cities. The dark atmosphere and desolate scenery create a striking contrast between the beauty of nature and human devastation, a combination that remains a visual landmark. The combat mechanics are carefully crafted, requiring not only skill, but also a good dose of strategy and stealth. Every confrontation brings palpable tension, especially with the need to ration resources and plan each move. The enemies are relentless, and the realism of the movements turns each battle into a unique moment, where every choice can make the difference between survival and defeat. Even today, The visual and narrative impact of this game remains unmatched, with a deep story and environments that contribute to an immersive setting. The combination of high-quality graphics and a detailed world-building made this one of the most memorable games of the generation, solidifying its place as a PlayStation classic. In 11th place, Bloodborne blends gothic aesthetics with dark and captivating graphics, transporting players to a decaying and terrifying city. The dense atmosphere and the level of detail in the scenery create an oppressive environment, where dark streets, ancient castles, and monstrous beings make up a disturbing landscape. Every corner of the setting seems designed to convey a sense of mystery and impending danger, reinforcing the dark mood characteristic of this game. The gameplay is fast-paced and requires sharp reflexes, with a combat system that rewards aggressiveness and mastery of weapons. Facing the creatures that inhabit this world is a constant test of skill, with each movement calculated to counter unpredictable attacks. The intensity of the battles and the constant challenge make every encounter tense and rewarding, reinforcing the atmosphere of urgency and tension that permeates the entire game. Considered one of the developer's greatest successes, the game is remembered for its terrifying setting and the uniqueness of its universe. The combination of impressive graphics and a dark, gothic aesthetic creates a striking visual identity, establishing the game as a landmark for those who appreciate immersive worlds and unique challenges. In 12th place, Uncharted 4 is one of the most remarkable games in terms of graphics and exploration. With impressive visual quality, the game transports players to settings ranging from exotic cities to dense forests and stunning mountains. Each environment is recreated with a level of realism that makes every detail shine. Whether it's sunlight streaming through leaves or storms turning the sky into a visual spectacle. The game offers mechanics for exploration and action that intertwine perfectly, creating a journey filled with discoveries and challenges. Climbing mountains, crossing caves, and exploring ancient ruins require skill and precision, and the smooth transitions between exploration and combat make the gameplay fluid and engaging. The movement system allows for acrobatic sequences that add dynamism to each phase, while the gunfights bring a good dose of adrenaline. With refined graphics and narrative, the game brought a new standard to the series. The combination of stunning visuals and well-calibrated gameplay makes this one of the most complete adventure games of its generation, ensuring moments of visual and action-packed brilliance that remain etched in memory. In 13th place, Mirror's Edge introduced an innovative concept by blending first-person parkour with clean, stylized graphics. The city where the game takes place is unique. Modern lines and vibrant colors contrast with vast white areas, creating a minimalist and futuristic aesthetic. The visual choice accentuates the controlled and oppressive environment, immersing the player in a landscape where every jump and maneuver stands out even more. The gameplay revolutionized the first-person perspective applied to parkour, allowing for agile and precise movements. Running, climbing, and jumping between buildings require mastery of the mechanics, giving a unique sense of speed and fluidity. Each movement sequence is synchronized to feel natural, while the level design challenges the player to use the environment as an ally to overcome obstacles and escape from enemies. This game became a visual and mechanical milestone in action games. Its unique graphical style, combined with innovative gameplay, makes it a work that still inspires and challenges, bringing an aesthetic and movement approach that continues to serve as a reference for modern games. In 14th place, Dead Space 2 took space horror to a new level with even more detailed graphics and a terrifying atmosphere. This time, the game takes place in an abandoned space station, where every dark corridor and every deserted area was carefully designed to intensify fear. The setting uses low lighting and immersive sound effects that create constant tension, while the grotesque details of the enemies and environments reinforce the horror mood. The combat is brutal and demands precision, with the famous dismemberment mechanics even sharper, challenging the player to use weapons strategically. The gameplay is marked by a sense of vulnerability, where every encounter becomes a fight for survival. The space station, filled with debris and disturbing remnants, tells the story of its collapse, creating an environment where danger seems to lurk around every corner. With its striking visuals and impeccable world building, this game cemented the series as an iconic force in horror. The graphical evolution and the attention to detail in each environment and enemy made this an intense and visually memorable experience, remembered as one of the best in the franchise and the genre. In 15th place, Okami stands out with its visual art inspired by traditional Japanese paintings, creating a rare and enchanting graphic style. The aesthetics resemble a moving watercolor, with vibrant settings filled with details that evoke natural landscapes and feudal Japanese temples. Every visual element was designed to reflect this era, resulting in an atmosphere that seamlessly blends fantasy and culture with impressive harmony. The mechanics feature of Celestial Brush, a tool that allows players to interact with the environment creatively, such as drawing paths, restoring trees, and defeating enemies. This unique approach to solving challenges and exploring the world brings a constant sense of discovery, while the visual style enhances each action, turning it into an artistic spectacle. The combat system, in turn, is fluid and intuitive, providing action moments that integrate perfectly with the environment. With its incomparable visuals and creative gameplay, this game is remembered as an aesthetic and narrative masterpiece. The combination of beautiful landscapes and the innovative use of the Celestial Brush makes this adventure one of the most original and artistically rich experiences of its generation, offering a unique journey in the world of gaming. In 16th place, Control impresses with an enigmatic visual style and settings that seem to have a mind of their own. Set in a government building with brutalist architecture, the space is dark, marked by concrete and glass, with dramatic lighting that enhances the mysterious mood. The building transforms as the player progresses, revealing passages, hidden areas, and unexpected challenges that defy perception, adding a surreal layer to the journey. The combat mechanics combine telekinetic powers and manipulation abilities, allowing the player to throw objects, levitate, and even alter the structure of the environment. This integration between powers and space creates intense and strategic battles, where the surroundings become an extension of the protagonist's abilities. The ability to modify the environment during combat adds a new and immersive dimension, as if the surroundings were a tool to be mastered. With graphics that amplify the sense of mystery and a narrative that unfolds in intriguing layers, the game challenges conventions at every detail. The result is an exploration of themes and environments that intertwine in a unique work, full of atmosphere and style, turning this journey into a visually and sensorially memorable experience. In 17th place, Killzone. Shadowfall impressed from its launch with its next-gen graphics and striking visual design. Set in a dystopian future, the game features a divided city, where the contrasts between rich and poor districts are explored in impressive detail. Realistic lighting, reflections, and complex textures create futuristic environments that captivate, with vibrant colors and bold architecture emphasizing the atmosphere of tension and conflict. The combat system is dynamic and varied, blending intense gunfights with the strategic use of drones and technological equipment. The fast-paced and fluid gameplay maintains an intense rhythm, while the map design offers multiple paths and possibilities, encouraging different approaches. Every area was meticulously designed to provide intense combat and memorable action scenes, with responsive controls that enhance the feeling of dominance on the battlefield. In addition to the impressive graphics, the game is also remembered for its complex setting and the development of conflicts that unfold in each phase. The combination of flawless futuristic visuals and well-tuned combat mechanics makes this game a standout of its generation, establishing it as a reference for sci-fi themed shooters. In 18th place, Splinter, Blacklist elevated the espionage genre with realistic graphics and a constant atmosphere of tension. Set in varied environments, from military bases to exotic cities, the detailed visuals help create immersive and suspenseful settings. Each location is meticulously designed to allow both stealth and direct action, making players feel like they're in espionage operations worthy of a movie. The gameplay is refined, integrating stealth movements and silent attacks with a unique precision, a hallmark of the series. Adaptation is essential, and the mechanics allow players to switch between attack and evasion modes, creating strategic possibilities in each mission. The arsenal of technological equipment expands the options, allowing the use of drones, cameras, and other devices that enrich the tactical approach. With its polished visuals and flawless infiltration mechanics, the game has solidified its place as one of the best in the genre. The combination of detailed graphics and well-developed espionage systems makes this game a reference for those who appreciate more strategic, stealth-oriented action. In 19th place, we have Bioshock, a game that surprised players with its unforgettable visuals and setting, transporting them to the underwater city of Rapture. Built as an Art Deco utopia, each area reveals architecture rich in detail and saturated colors, contrasting with the signs of decay and abandonment. The visual design not only defines the city's style, but also reflects the collapse of an ideal, adding depth to the atmosphere and creating an environment of suspense and mystery. The gameplay mechanics incorporate genetic abilities in combat, allowing players to combine powers and weapons in strategic confrontations. These abilities add a new dimension to the action, as players can use electricity, fire, and ice to manipulate the environment and face enemies creatively. The city, with its flooded hallways and devastated areas, serves as a living element in the gameplay, where each space invites exploration that may uncover items, secrets, and unexpected enemies. This game became an icon not only for its striking aesthetics, but also for how it integrated narrative and environment into a single setting. The fusion of innovative graphics and a deep story transformed Rapture into one of the most iconic cities in gaming, solidifying Bioshock as a masterpiece that left its mark on the universe of games. Moving on, we have Uncharted 3, a game that raised the bar for graphics in adventure and exploration settings. Each environment, from vast deserts to ancient ruins, is reproduced with a wealth of details that create a unique cinematic feel. The fluid animations and realistic facial expressions enhance immersion, bringing each sequence and action scene to life with an unmistakable visual touch. The gameplay mixes exploration and combat, where transitions between climbing, hand-to-hand combat, and gunfights are seamless and intense. In each phase, there are challenges that require skill and precision, and the environments provide creative ways to overcome obstacles, whether in epic battles or dizzying escapes. The mechanics allow interaction with the environment that is both strategic and fun, maintaining the fast-paced rhythm of the adventure. This game solidified itself as a landmark in the series with its visual design and dynamic storytelling. The combination of exotic locations and engaging challenges makes it unforgettable, establishing it as one of the most iconic games of its generation and a prime example of excellence in adventure games. And it's time to hear your opinion. Which of these games had the most impactful graphics when it was released? Did any of them change the way you view games? And if you could add one game to this list, what iconic game would you include? Comment below, and let's chat about these unforgettable gaming moments. And if you liked the video and could leave a like to support my work, I'd be very grateful. Also, if you want to stay up to date with everything happening in the world of games, subscribe, as there's a new video every day to help you never be unsure about what to play. I'm leaving a video in the card with the best games of 2024, and the list is filled with amazing games that went unnoticed by most people. Just click to watch. A big hug, happy gaming, and see you tomorrow.